And we're so excited to have Ping Ho with us. And I'll go ahead and read the bio here. Ping Ho, MA, MPH, is founder and director of UCLA Arts and Healing, which offers training in the use of arts integrated with mental health practices for self-directory, connection, and empowerment. This work represents the nexus of her graduate education in counseling, psychology, and public health with her lifelong experience in performing arts. Ping developed Beat the Odds, an evidence-based drumming program for social emotional skill building, a certificate program in social emotional arts, and a sustainable SCA on a shoestring program of supportive art, movement, music, and writing. She is co-author of the National Parenting Products award-winning book, The Innovative Parent Raising Connected, Happy, Successful Kids Through Art. So we're so blessed and honored to have Ping with us, as well as Heidi. And just a reminder, Wendy's not here, and I'm not Wendy King, as you all see on the screen there. I'll change my name. She's on vacation, which she should be with her family, but she has reached out multiple times today to check and make sure things are ready to roll, and they are. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Ping because we're so looking forward to hearing her work tonight and hear all about what she does. So Ping, take it away, and thank you for being with us. Honored to have you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm hoping to blow all your minds today. So I'm going to open my session with my favorite instrument, a 40-year-old bunt pan. So take a listen. Now, did Zoom cut that out because it thought it was a background noise, or did you hear it? Okay. So the reason I played that was to demonstrate that you don't have to have expensive, fancy equipment to have a meaningful experience with sound. And I'd like to actually start by making a statement of acknowledgement that throughout human history, drums have been used to communicate, unite, galvanize, heal, and celebrate. And we honor all of the cultural traditions that have made this work possible. So the content from today's session comes from our evidence-based and trauma-informed program called Beat the Odds, Social and Emotional Skill Building, delivered in a framework of drumming. It's an evidence-based and trauma-informed program that integrates activities from group drumming and group counseling to build core assets in youth, such as focusing and listening, team building, leadership, expressing feelings, managing anger and stress, empathy, and gratitude. So today what I'm going to do is we will have experiences with all the activities, and then I'll debrief the social emotional benefits after you experience each one, or in some cases before you experience them. All of the activities offer an opportunity for students to be seen, heard, connected, validated, and empowered. And the connection is especially important in these days of social isolation that students have experienced. So I'd like each of you to find your drum, and it could be, this is my favorite drum, and actually it's also practical for the classroom because it's not noisy. It can be used for other purposes, doesn't hurt your hands. I find it to be pleasant. So if you have something, you could use a book, you could use the air. We're going to do some air drumming in a moment. Here is a diaper bag that I found on the in the back seat of the car when I wanted to drum with my kids, grandkids, and it was a wonderfully functioning drum. Made a nice sound, nice and soft on the hands. So see if you can find something. And of course, there's always our bodies, right? Chest, shoulders. So the first activity that we're going to do is the weather check-in. So this is an activity that helps young people express how they're feeling without having to use words, because when we are under stress or we've experienced trauma or we're from a different culture, we have different ability, or maybe we speak a different language, words are sometimes difficult to come by. So this is sunny. If you're feeling sunny, you would do this. So go ahead and practice with me because I'm going to have you express in a moment so you can remember what it is. This is sunny. This is windy, brushing the top of the drum. This is rainy, tapping the top of the drum. This is stormy, scratching the top of the drum. And this is snowy. Your fingers fall silently on the drum, just like snow falls on the ground. So quick review: sunny, windy, rainy, stormy, and snowy. So if we were in a room in a circle, I would go around the room and have each person just non-verbally show us how they're feeling. I'm going to show you the FAST method, which is if you're feeling sunny, and I encourage those of you who are off camera, if you are able to be on camera, to join us. If you're feeling sunny, go ahead and join me in showing us that you're feeling sunny. Okay, we have some sunnies. If you're feeling windy, go ahead and join me in showing that you feel windy. Okay, we have some windies, and thank you, Allison, for showing us in the air. If you're feeling rainy, go ahead and join me in showing us that you're feeling rainy. Okay, we have a little rainy. If you're feeling stormy, join me in showing us that you're feeling stormy. We have any stormies? It's a little hard to see sometimes in Zoom. I don't see any. It doesn't mean there isn't any. Oh, I see rainy. I have COVID. I'm sorry to see that. And if you're feeling snowy, join me in showing that you're feeling snowy. We have any snowies? Don't see any snowies right now. So this activity is actually also helpful for reflecting on activities as a metaphor for life. For example, I could say, how many of you felt more than one weather? And maybe it was hard to choose. So on days when I teach, I often feel sunny and windy at the same time. So maybe some of you are feeling rainy and stormy at the same time. So this way we can teach that we can hold multiple feelings. Another thing is that we can use this activity to teach empathy. So even though we don't define what the weather is, they decide what weather that expresses how they're feeling. We could say there may be some people hurting in here. So it's important to be kind when someone's being rude or unfriendly today, because they may be having a really hard day. So this is how you can use this very simple check-in activity to teach social emotional concepts. Take a moment to think about ways you might be able to use this in your classroom. For example, at the beginning and the end of the day, perhaps to see how people are feeling. The next warm-up tip that I'd like to offer is the rumble warm-up. Children of all ages, and I'm talking about adults too, love to rumble. Rumbling is a rapid motion of right and left hands. On a drum, it looks and sounds like this, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to practice in the air first, because I have discovered when I'm working with youth who have been deprived of creative expression opportunities, or who just have a lot of energy, sometimes it's hard to get them to listen to the instructions and stop together as a group. So I like to do some advanced preparation. And the rumble has many functions. So I'll talk you through the rumble as we rumble together in the air. So we're going to do some air practice. So go ahead and join me rumbling in the air. Now, the beautiful thing about rumbling in the air is we're getting a lot of energy out, and you can still hear me talking. So rumbling is like this magic tool that helps regroup. So say the classroom is noisy and you just need to get everyone's attention. You get everyone rumbling, and then you get everyone to stop, and then it's absolutely quiet. And if the energy in the room is too low, you rumble to get the energy up. If the energy in the room is too high, you rumble to expend some of that energy and get the energy down. And if your group just needs more focus, you rumble to get them focused. So what I'm going to do is we're going to practice rumbling loudly, and we're going to rumble softly. Now just notice how tired you're getting and how much energy is getting expended. And I'm going to say 4, 3, 2, 1, and then rest. And on the word rest, we're going to put our hands in our laps all together. Ready? 4, 3, 2, 1, rest. Do we feel tingling in our arms and our hands? Maybe a faster heart rate, more breathing. So it's an opportunity to also notice how our bodies are feeling. So the rumbling can be your best friend, and you can practice the concept of air practice is powerful. I actually know a visual artist who says that when he's teaching kids who are reluctant to draw, he'll have them draw it in the air first before they put it on paper. And similarly, I've had teachers say, You know, when it's so-and-so's turn, they won't touch the drum. And I tell them, just have them do it in the air. And it works every time. Sometimes it's a confidence issue for kids. So air practice is a really helpful tool at times. This is how I also determine whether students are ready for the real drums, right? If it teaches them that we, do we define what each means? I see a question here. No, we don't define it. We leave it up to them. So when we practice together stopping, it lets them know there's an expectation that we're going to stop together, so that when they actually have drums in front of them or something that makes noise, it's not such a problem. If students, you can have them rumble and have students lead the rumble, right? They raise your arms to make everybody rumble louder, and they lower them to rumble more softly, and they can do the teeter-totter, right? This side of the room is rumbling loudly. Now this side of the room is rumbling loudly. And this also teaches leadership skills and gives an opportunity to showcase students who might not otherwise know how to get attention in constructive ways. And you can also teach empathy through this activity. You can ask the other students how it felt to lead, how they imagined that it felt to lead, and then talk about how empathy is imagining how someone feels, and that helps us to respond with respect and kindness to someone who's been hurt or teased, for example, because we can imagine how that feels. So those are the two warm-ups. And now I'm going to move into the secret of rhythm. So is anyone wearing a t-shirt with any words on it? And if you're not on camera, you're still welcome. You please enter it in the chat bar if anybody's wearing anything with words on it. Or if you have any nifty words on the wall, like I see "y'all come eat" on Heather's wall. I think we all have to use that one. Kimberly has Hogwarts wasn't hiring, so I teach muggles. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Nothing has come into the chat, so let's use those things. Okay, I'm going to make a rhythm with y'all can eat. Y'all can, y'all can, y'all can, y'all can. And then we have Hogwarts wasn't hiring. Hogwarts wasn't hiring. Hogwarts wasn't hiring. Hogwarts wasn't hiring. Keep growing. Keep growing. I am just a human trying. Okay, just a human who is trying my best. Trying my best. Trying my best. Just a human trying my best. So easy. So the whole key to rhythm is words. And now as teachers, I know all your lights are going on in your head. And I'm going to be showing you other ways to use words during this session. So my Beat the Odds co-developer, Mike Domeno, who's a drum circle facilitator, helped me develop some cool beats for a middle school counselor who needed them. And this is my favorite one that he sent me. And it goes like this: bread, cheese, don't forget meat. Now, if you're vegan or vegetarian, you can change it to I want veggies to eat. So it goes like this: bread, cheese, don't forget meat. Bread, cheese, don't forget meat. Cheese, don't forget meat. Feel free to join in. Don't forget meat. Bread, cheese, don't forget meat. Now you could change up the words with the kids, teach them new vocabulary words. The thing is that I'm not the kind of person who can remember a rhythm without the words attached to it. So as a result, I can remember the rhythm, and my then 4-year-old granddaughter could remember the rhythm because we remembered the words. So whenever you find a cool set of words, write them down on a list, and then you will be the coolest rhythm maker ever. And students can make up their own rhythms. They can come in and share. You could invite them to make up rhythms from words from a passage they need to read. There are all kinds of possibilities for using this for literacy. And speaking of literacy, it turns out that there was a researcher named Nina Kraus at Northwestern University who's actually shown that the ability to tap to a beat keeping device, which is basically the ability to keep rhythm, predicts the brain's ability to track syllables. because it's the same skill set. That syllables are rhythms. And so if you can hear and replicate rhythms, it helps with literacy and language. So I encourage you to experiment with that. And one variation of this that we have used in the past is to come up with a favorite color, animal, and food. So take a moment, and you can enter it in the chat bar, to think of a favorite color, animal, and food. So, and I'll show you how you can use that. Blue Wildcat tacos. Okay. So I could use, and all of that, the weather patterns that we did earlier, those are different ways to play the drum, right? So, oh, Fruit Loops. Okay, I saw that one and I have to use that. I've never used that before. Okay, green. I'm going to go green. Remember the tapping on the door? Green, cat, green, cat, right? You can just make, and then it becomes an ongoing rhythm. So, and this is a way that students can learn something about each other, share something about themselves, and connect to one another. So the benefits of active music making, it helps keep us in the present moment. And if your class is stressed, or maybe there's the occasional unfortunate trauma on campus, you can then have everybody participate together without needing to single anyone out who's having a tough time. Everyone can benefit from the stress management. When the brain is actively under threat, it's trying to protect us, and therefore it dominates the rest of the brain, and the upper brain, with the executive functions that we need for learning, actually gets interfered with. So by calming the stress part of the brain, we can actually re-engage and enable learning. And we have found that some students, especially adolescents, can't hear anything unless they've done 5 or 15 minutes of solid drumming. And then they're ready to participate in a dialogue and an exchange. Also, playing and moving in sync is a metaphor for empathy. So what it says is, I see you, I hear you, I validate you. And this is how synchrony builds connection between students. And it turns out that research shows that moving and playing rhythms in sync actually increases compassion and altruistic behavior towards others. So it turns out that being in sync actually is rewarding to the brain, that the same part of the brain that responds to a monetary reward activates when people are doing something in sync with each other. And so we're actually hardwired to want to be in sync. And when middle school students have had in sync rhythmic experiences with each other, they say they feel happier, more relaxed, helps take their pain away, and they've become better friends with their classmates as a result of that experience. And when we learn ways to feel better, it helps us develop agency and resilience. So,
question in the chat there from Jamie
yes.
Cornelius. Have you ever done this with behavior disorder students?
Yes, let me mention that behavior disorder students may even benefit more from all these things, because they actually have more feelings that need to be dealt with. And that one of the most powerful things I've discovered about rhythm is that numerous teachers have told me that when they have a student that's so dysregulated that they're throwing furniture, that all they have to do is give that student a drum and have somebody drum with them. Could be a group, could be just a single person. And within minutes, they will be calm and happy and re-engaged. So I think it's a powerful tool. If there was one message I was ever going to want to send out into the universe, it'd be that one. The power of using rhythm for serious moments of dysregulation. And we have also taught special education teachers how to use this tool, and they were all able to use it just as easily as with neurotypical students. For moderate to severe students, there are a few adaptations, maybe breaking the sessions into 2 parts, or not introducing the drums until you actually need them, things like that. Otherwise, the techniques should work with all students. So I am torn because I want to make sure I cover a lot of stuff, and I have so I have a mindful rhythm activity, and I'm tempted to put it at the end in case we run out of time. So how many of you are feeling, I think I'm just going to do that. So we'll do that at the very end to send you off in a very calm state of mind. So right now, what I'm going to do is the name game with rhythm and movement. So it's validating to hear your name chanted by a group. And when I have worked with adults on name writing activities, they often share that they have endured a lifetime of ridicule and mispronunciation of their names. And so at the beginning of a new school year, it's a wonderful opportunity to create an environment of acceptance and belonging by making sure that everyone in the classroom knows each other's names and knows how to pronounce them correctly. So we have different ways of doing this activity. When kids are young and they can't really do anything complicated, we just have them do this. We say, who wants their name chanted? Okay, all the hands go up. George, 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 George. And they do this for like a minute. And then we get the next person, Sarah, Sarah, right? So that's method number one. Method number two is you say your name and you play a little pattern, or you can play the syllables of your name, either way. So I'm going to say my name, Ping, Ping, or I could go Ping, da, 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 da. And then you would all repeat my name and repeat the rhythm I did, or the movement, right? I could do a movement instead. I could also make up a chant for someone else. I could pick Valerie, for instance. I could say, Valerie, Valerie, and then we would all do Valerie, Valerie, right? So the one that we're going to do today, though, is my current favorite, where we're all going to engage in our bodies creating the rhythm. So we're going to do our feet. I have bells and shells around my feet so that I can make some noise. I'm going to turn my original sound on so you can hear it, right? And we're all going to stomp together. That's how we all keep the beat together. And when I call out your name, you're going to do something with your body, whatever it is, and we're going to mirror you. We're going to do what you do as a way of letting you know that you are seen, heard, and validated. So I'm going to just randomly pick a few people. In the interest of time, I wish we could do everyone. However, if you hear your name called, I'll call your name about 3 times, and then I'll move on to the next person. And you can do whatever you like. In fact, if you would like, just for fun, you can go to your video icon, and there's a little caret, and you can choose a virtual filter, right? A video filter, like, I could be in a television box, or I could have a clover on my head, right? And if you want to do that just for fun, it also makes this activity even more playful. So go ahead and stomp with me. And I'll call out a name. Jamie. Your turn, Jamie. We're going to do whatever you do. Jamie. Oh, just a little movement. Oh, there we go. Jamie. There you go. You're right. There's more than one Jamie. Jamie. Okay, let's do Heather. 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 I'll go a little faster. Debbie. 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 Allison. 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 Oh, we have 2 Allisons too, I realize. Andrea. Andrea or Andrea. Andrea. Andrea, I'll say it both ways. Okay, let's see. Rebecca. 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 I'll do one more person. Kelly. 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 All right, everybody. See, a super easy activity. I find everybody is very willing to engage in this because it's just your upper body and our hands. And you could remind the group that movement can be very small. And if you have somebody who's shy, and usually somebody who's shy will do this. Like they don't want to do it. And then all you have to do is say, this is a trick from dance movement therapy field. Oh, that's a great move. Let's all do that. And they think it's hilarious, and they're engaged, and they want to be involved after that. So that's all you have to do to break the ice, is just, that's a great movement. This is a little movement. That's totally acceptable. A wink is a movement. That's acceptable too. And again, active engagement in movement and sound actually helps, again, to calm that stressed brain, and it provides you with the stress reducing benefits of exercise as well. And also there's a lot of laughter. And again, laughter is a representative of the fact that the arts are uniquely capable of enhancing positive emotions and not just reducing negative ones. So take a moment, think about how you feel after having done this very short, simple activity, and it might give you an idea of how your students may feel. Okay. Oh, I think I'm doing okay time-wise. This is good. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is talk about feelings, right? So feelings inform us of our needs, and when we pay attention to them, they remind us to take care of ourselves. So when we, again, put feelings on the drum, right, that it can help students who are having a dysregulated moment calm down and re-engage and reconnect with others. So we can put, if we're dealing with younger students, we might give them feelings to put on the drum, like let's see what angry might sound like on the drum, right? And then everyone play. Or let's see what sad might sound like on the drum, or happy. And if they're older students, we might ask them for suggestions. So since you're all going to be our older students today, go ahead and put in the chat bar any ideas for feelings that we could put on our drum. We'll take a few of them, the first few that come in. Anger, anxious, frustration. Those are 3 good ones right there. And then let's end, oh, laughter, this is perfect. Okay, let's do anger, anxious, frustration, and laughter in that order. So go ahead and get whatever it is, and you can again use the air if you don't have something soft enough to hit. So let's all see what anger, oh, and let's all go ahead and unmute, because for this one, it doesn't matter how we sound. And the same thing with rumbling. I could have unmuted you then too. Okay, so unless you have any unusual background noise, I think it's okay. Let's go ahead and put what angry sounds like on the drum. Ready? Go. And how about anxious? Put anxious on the drum. And let's put frustration on the drum. And now let's put laughter on the drum. Okay. Speaking of laughter, let's think about things. Let's think about things that make us feel happy for a moment. Take a moment to think of something that makes you feel happy. Oh, and go ahead and please mute again. So take a moment to think of something that makes you feel happy. It could be something very simple, like waking up in the morning, or not having to wake up in the morning, and just something that brings you some joy. And you're welcome to also put it in the chat bar so we can all share with each other what makes us feel happy. My kids laughing, my dogs, okay. And then I'm going to show you a way that we can have the students share more deeply about things that make them feel happy. Okay, the first 3 people who pitched in here. So Jamie, Cornelius, my kids laughing. So can you unmute yourself and say, I feel happy when my kids are laughing, or however you want to say it. And then do a movement to express that, and then we will do the movement back to you. We will reflect it back to you.
I'm happy when I hear my kids laughing.
Okay, here we are. Thank you. And Tanya, would you like to say I feel happy when?
I am happy when my dog kisses me.
Oh, okay. Let's be kissed by the dogs. And how about Valerie, butterflies and flowers?
I'm happy whenever I go outside on a sunny day and see butterflies and flowers.
There we go. Butterflies and flowers. And one more, Allison. Allison Jones McFarland.
I feel happy when I get warm hugs from my teachers, friends, and students.
Aha. Okay, there we go. We've gotten a hug. Great way to spend our time hugging ourselves. So we go around the circle and let every student do this, share something that makes them feel happy, and then we do the reflection. And the reflection is important for a number of reasons. It actually makes what we learn more explicit to us. It also gives everyone a chance to be seen, heard, and again, further connected. So how many of you felt happy thinking about something that makes you feel happy? So you can do this, right? This is a applause in American Sign Language. How many of you heard other things that were shared that also make you feel happy? Right? And these are things in our lives that can make us feel better. And if we want to encourage empathy and kindness more, we could ask the question, what random act of kindness might make someone else feel happy? Who can remember doing something kind or thoughtful for someone else this past week or month? And I want to share that have been blown away by how intently kindergarten students will listen to each other's stories of kindness, and it actually blew me away so much I had to develop a theory about it, because I didn't really understand how is it that you could get these little tiny people to listen for a very long time to each other's stories of kindness. And I've decided that it's because I think it brings out the better angels in us. It feels good to talk about doing kind things for others. So you can engage even the littlest ones in this kind of conversation. And if somebody is having a hard time coming up with something, like it's their turn and they don't answer, we can always just say, we'll come back to you. And then usually by the time you come back to them, they're ready. And if they're still not ready, you can say, did you hear anything else that anyone else shared that you could relate to? And they usually can, in which case now they have owned the answer for themselves, and they have now made a connection to the others who also said the same thing. So it's a twofer when someone's actually shy. What I do with reserved groups also is, if I'm not getting them, if they're not comfortable verbally expressing, is I'll take a shaker, right? You can use a supplement bottle filled with a little rice, and you could have them make it at home and bring it in. This is going to be your shaker, or you can get these cheap little egg shakers from Amazon. So I will ask the question, so who remembers doing something kind or thoughtful for someone this past week? Shake your shaker if you did, and have them answer that way. And I have after we do our mindful drumming experience, I'll share an anecdote about doing this with adults who are teachers at a conference. So you could use this same activity with other words. Like you could talk about, I feel grateful when, I feel strong when, I feel relaxed when, I feel calm when. We try to choose positive words to develop more resilience in the students. So, and if you're dealing with older students, you could deepen the dialogue by asking, how do we know when someone's upset? What's something you could do for them to help them when they feel better when they are upset? Or what's something that someone has done for you before when you've been upset that's been very helpful to you? And so now we're going to segue into positive affirmations. And so positive affirmations are things we say to ourselves to feel better or to achieve a goal. So research has shown that positive self-talk helps us reach our goals. And this can be especially important, working on positive self-talk can be especially important to students from non-dominant cultures whose positive self-talk or positivity has been affected by lack of opportunity, lack of representation, or even internalized negative messaging. So research has also been shown that positivity is associated with health and longevity. So today we're going to work on positive affirmations, and I'll show you how we do that with rhythm. So we might take an affirmation like, I accept you, you accept me, that's the key to harmony. And we would beat the affirmation on the drum. You know, like I could do every syllable. I accept you, you accept me, that's the key to harmony. Or I might just, I accept you, you accept me, that's the key to harmony. Or I could just beat on certain words. I accept you, you accept me, that's the key to harmony. So that there's this repetition, and then we just talk about what it means. So that's one way, and asking, you know, what are some ways that I always like to ask for specifics. What are some ways we can show someone that we accept them? So the second approach is, if answers are not forthcoming, telling a story, a brief 30-second to a minute-long story about someone you know or yourself and an experience involving acceptance or belonging. And we found that this was very effective with 7th graders who were in opportunity classrooms, which in California mean alternative education. These were kids that weren't doing well in regular classrooms. And the facilitator told a story about her and her grandmother, and that resonated so much with the kids that they wanted to do it again the following week to have the same topic. So my third favorite way to facilitate understanding of affirmations is the grab bag, and that literally means a bag with affirmations inside. This may be a more engaging method with older youth, and it does require a little bit of literacy, and I'll talk for a moment on what you can do with little ones. Kids love grab bags. I witnessed a school counselor passing around the grab bag with affirmations in it, and the kids, she had 45 middle schoolers in a room, and she turned to me and said, "Can you believe how quiet they are? It took a long time to pass these out, and they were stone quiet the entire time." There's something magical about pulling something out of a grab bag. So how we use the grab bag is, we had noticed in working with some very severely traumatized middle school youth that they had a difficult time coming up with even the simplest of affirmations, like I am, you know, like come up with a positive word to describe yourself. It was very hard for them to do. So what we did was we put these in a grab bag, and they could randomly pull one and say it, so they could see how it would feel, and then everyone would repeat it, so everyone got a chance to say something positive about themselves. And so we started doing this with other affirmations as a way to process them. For example, we have an affirmation we use in the curriculum is, I will do something new. And if we have a conversation with kids about that and ask them, what are some new things you could do? They might say, you know, I could learn to skateboard, or I could, their answers are probably in the domain of learning new skills, in the, like, new activities, for example. So what we do is we fill the bag with new behaviors, because that's not something that they'll necessarily think of when we have this conversation. Like, we can create, and we use we because we is a collective statement, and it turns out that 80% of the world is collectivistic culturally and more concerned with the whole than the individual. So we build on that. We use the word we can create, we can help others, we can focus on our work, we can listen. And then we ceremoniously punctuate each one with a rhythm in between. So I'll show you some examples of how we do this, and then we're going to have a chance to do some of our own. So here are some affirmations. One way to do it would be to have everybody repeat the affirmation and play it at the same time. Play the syllables. So I'll start with, we can try new things, right? If I'm pulling out a grab bag strip that says we can try new things, I would read it, we can try new things, and then we all together play, we can try new things. And we can be respectful, we can be respectful, we can be kind, we can be kind, we can breathe to relax, we can breathe to relax. Another way that we have done this is to play a rhythm in between each statement. So we can be responsible, we can accept others for who they are, we can control what we do with our feelings, we can treat others the way we want to be treated. And these are all, most of these are rooted in themes from the curriculum. Then there's another method, which is coming up with a phrase like, yes, we can. This is probably the most powerful one. We can be grateful. Yes, we can. We can learn from our mistakes. Yes, we can. We can feel for others. Yes, we can. We can keep our commitments. Yes, we can. So what I would like to do now, oh, let me just explain a few other things. The powerful thing about these affirmations is that it helps students say things that are out of their field of awareness or maybe that are not cool to say. Also, you could have them write their own affirmations, right? So maybe the topic is, I feel respected when. And maybe after brief brainstorming about what could that mean, and I always like to come in with some examples to help get their juices flowing on the range of things like, you know, keeping a secret or not gossiping about other people, for example. Then you have them write their own little strips, put them in a bag, and the thing is, when it gets circulated, now if it's you might want to read them first before they get circulated. That aside, when it does get circulated, everyone's pulling one out. No one knows who wrote that on the strip, so there's some anonymity to protect the vulnerability of students, and encourages them to be honest about what makes them feel respected or disrespected, for example, because there's no fear of recrimination or anything like that, or being teased because nobody knows who wrote it. If you have younger ones, you could scribe for them. They could tell you and you could write it down, and they could pull it out of the bag, and if they need assistance reading it, perhaps another student could help, or you could help read the strip. And song lyrics can also be used in this way. So one very really powerful activity we have is to give a complex set of song lyrics to, say, an adolescent to look at. You could do this with younger kids too, with simpler lyrics. And the song This Is Me from The World's Greatest Showman is an example of a song that has a great range of feelings in it. There's resilience and there's also distress. And so you can have students circle, underline any words, phrases, lines that stand out to them. And then they pick one to write on a strip of paper and put it in the bag. And when the bag gets circulated, it's amazing how many things in common. The students will pull out the same phrase, for example. And then we can kind of hear how everyone's doing in the room, or how everyone's feeling, without revealing who is feeling that way. And it gives us another opportunity to remind students to be kind to each other, because somebody may be having a very hard time. So this is a technique, this sort of underlining and circling phrases, words that stand out to you, is a technique from the field of poetry therapy. And this is how, in that field, whatever stands out to you serves as a writing prompt for further writing. So what we're going to do to practice here is, let's take a moment to create our own affirmations. Think of a student or a person in your life who needs encouragement in some area of their life. Let's say behaviorally. And create a we statement, we can, based on what you think that person needs, and try to make the statement an achievable goal. Sometimes I hear people say, I am smart. The problem with smart is it's not an achievable goal, it's a judgment based on subjective indicators. So try to come up with an affirmation and go ahead and write it in the chat bar when you have it. See. Okay, and we'll get over the top. So I see that the art teacher, so Shalita, thank you for joining us. I hope that you can still find a way to incorporate some of this work even in art making. So maybe we can even chat about that at the very end. Anything that can be expressed verbally or even in sound can also be expressed in art, in drawing, in collage. So keep that in mind. So we can listen and show respect. Okay. We can create at least one art piece that is exhibit ready. We can climb this mountain. We will get over the top. Oh yes, is that that actually is it's also an affirmation. Okay, so Now, what I like to do is also turn it to self-care. So take a moment to think about some way that you can take better care of yourself. And it could be a helpful thought or a healthy action, and turn it into a we can statement. We can take time to breathe on purpose. Okay. And go ahead and put it in the chat bar. Then I'm just going to go around the room, our room here, whoever's on camera, and we'll just go around and let's do yes we can in between. So you can get your drum if you would like to unmute. That would be wonderful. If not, that's okay. But we will unmute when it's your turn to speak. So if you can unmute now, it will go more smoothly. If you don't have any major background noise, we'll just go around the room and everybody is going to say we can, and whatever it is that you can do to take better care of yourself. And students can do this activity too, right? You can just change the theme or the topic. Okay, so let's start. We'll go in the reverse order. Allison Jones McFarland. We can, and then it will punctuate after you're done saying we can. We'll say yes, we can. Okay.
We can build each other up.
We can build each other up. Okay, yes, we can. Allison Gibson.
I said we can put it down and we can let it go.
Yes, we can. Heather.
There's a few of us on here.
Oh,
so I'll
Heather
go ahead.
Moore.
We can take deep breaths.
Yes, we can. Sarah Cox.
We can be calm and focused.
Yes, we can. Valerie Durham.
I made one for the classroom. I didn't realize it was like self-care.
That's
So mine
okay.
was we can be responsible as we move throughout the room.
Yes, we can. Rebecca Isaacs.
We can breathe on purpose.
Yes, we can. Kelly DeBoard.
We can breathe in and breathe out.
Yes, we can. Debbie Manuel.
We can be kind.
Yes, we can. Jamie Cornelius.
We can listen and show respect.
Yes, we can. And then I see Heather Moore Frame popped in at the bottom.
Yeah. We can build each other up instead of tearing people down.
Ah, yes, we can. Oh, isn't that interesting? There was quite a lot of commonality. And so after you do any sharing activity with kids, you can find out what were the similar things we heard, right? There was breathing. There was about building each other up. So affirmation process. And how was that experience for you when you think about how did it feel to hear all these positive affirmations? Does any feel free to comment in the chat bar how that activity felt for you to participate in, and how you think students might feel doing an activity like this. Okay, thank you, Tanya. Your voice was heard. Everyone experiences the same types of things. Students will also. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to that mindful drumming because there is time for it. And this is something you can do. The students don't need to have, you know, again, they could have a pillow. They could be holding a shaker, right? When I'm going to be playing a drum like this, and I'm going to take a kind of a kind of a peppier heartbeat rhythm. So like this. Can anyone guess why I'm not going to play slowly like this? Anyone want to guess? You can put it in the chat bar or you can shout it out. Might be intimidating. Okay. Boring. Yes. Anything else? Make them sleep. Yes. Make them sleep. Hard to keep a beat. Both true. Because it is harder. Yes, Felicity, you got it. Harder to keep the tempo consistent. If you start like this, it's going to be like this in about 1 minute. And so it'll just keep racing and then it'll be hard to keep an even beat. So I always start it a little peppier. And also I would have you asleep in about a minute, and that's not really the goal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a heartbeat rhythm. It's going to go beat, beat, rest, rest. So there'll be a silent part. And we'll play for 4 minutes because it takes about that long to get the brain out of the way, the little chit chat, the little judgment. If you notice that, just invite it to go away. We can't hear you anyway. You're in your own little space. You can use the weather check-in movements as you play. If you play along, right, you can play when I'm beating the drum, or during the silent part, you can do the tapping, the scratching, the brushing, or just beating the drum this way. You can improvise or not improvise. I find that when we're doing something mindful or meditative, you want to keep your rhythms as simple as possible and to breathe as much as you can. And the other secret is to keep it in your body, right? I tend to sway, but you could put it in your foot, you can nod your head, whatever it is, to help you keep the basic beat so that whatever else your hands are doing, you don't feel like you're getting lost. You may close your eyes, or you may gaze softly at something below your eye level. Whatever is comfortable for you, we encourage you to do. Don't think. That's the key to drumming, because your body has a rhythm. We all have a heartbeat. As soon as we start thinking and trying to regulate it, we get in our body's way. So this is how you get the mindfulness benefits of a drumming activity, is you don't think, just feel it. Let your body do what it knows it can do. And it's okay if you'd rather just move. Sometimes we did a training once with a group of mental health professionals, and there was a group of men, and they just did not want to drum. They wanted to move, so they actually danced in a circle around while all the women were drumming. So you just never know, and we embrace all expressions. There's no wrong way to participate in the way that we work. So let's do this, and then I'll demonstrate how we would do the reflection and talk a little bit more about the value of reflection. So I'm going to push my microphone away, and I'm going to sit farther back because I have been told that sometimes I get a little buzzy sound. And I'm going to set my timer for 4 minutes. So go ahead and get your drum. And again, there's no wrong way to do this. Okay, here we go. Please don't like those abrupt endings. So tell me how you feel now. Go ahead and put it in the chat bar. How do you feel now compared to how you felt before we started? Right, calmer. Wow, so relaxing, peaceful, so calm. More relaxed. Now, one thing that we do is we always invite sharing of anything that was not optimal, right? Did anyone feel uncomfortable or struggle with it? That is totally okay. And we want to let the students know that too by inviting them, hey, did anyone have a hard time with that activity? Because all responses are valid. And yes, much more cognizant of the traffic noise. I was cognizant of that too. Because we want students to be able to express all of their feelings regardless and to know that they are embraced. There's nothing wrong with them just because they didn't have the kind of response that we were expecting. So I was actually teaching in a conference in North Dakota. I had 45 educators in a room, in a workshop, and I asked them, so how do you feel now? And they all, mind you, they all had a shaker. And so nobody answered. I mean, literally nobody raised their hand. So I thought, okay, I'm going to use my what to do with reserved students method. How many of you felt more relaxed? Shake your shaker. And then all the shakers went off in the room. And more calm, you know. And you could do that with focused, awake, joyful, energized, whatever the word you would like to use, any words that you would like to use. And that's when I realized this method of responding with shakers works for every age and every ability. Even adults can use that method. So reflection on this process, right? I could have just ended the mindful drumming and sent you off. However, when we talk about it a little bit, we can understand a little bit more about it. So, for example, when we tune into how we feel, when we name our feelings, it actually engages the upper brain executive functions and quiets the lower part of the brain that processes negative emotions. And psychiatrist Daniel Siegel calls this phenomenon name it to tame it. If you can put a word to the feeling, you can tame the feeling. Again, when we talk about the experience afterwards, the students are more likely to get the intended lessons. This gives them when they're sharing, they get another opportunity to be seen, heard, and validated. And studies have shown that the addition of reflection and self-disclosure in art forms as diverse as drumming and writing actually results in greater biological and psychological stress reduction. So take a moment to think about ways you might be able to use this in your classroom. This is a Bahia bass drum that Remo Company makes. It's very resonant. They make smaller, cheaper versions as well, or you can find anything in your home like this, right? You might find something nice and resonant and comfortable to the ears that you can use in the classroom to play as you help the students learn to become more mindfully present in their bodies. And I'm aware that it is 2 o'clock. I just want to let you know there's a comprehensive handout that you will receive, and the handout includes curriculum standards in it that pertain to the activities we just did, as well as some additional resources from UCLA Arts and Healing, including our letting you know about our free monthly Hope series that offers tools, sometimes for working with kids, sometimes for self-care. It's free and accessible to you every month. So we invite you to be part of our community, and thank you for coming today.
Thank you so much, Ping. I'm going to go ahead and put the evaluation in the chat there, but we very much appreciate and learn so much with you today. And again, you have an excellent group of educators here, and I know they're going to take this back and going to implement it right away in their classrooms. And actually, I think we can take bits and pieces of this and how could we much better reflect on what we do personally and implement some of these strategies, in our own lives. So thank you so much. Anybody have any questions for Ping while she's on?
Jim, I have a comment. I'm actually going to be teaching this online for a grant that we have. We need to be doing it for free in the area. And so I welcome any of your teachers who've missed this. Heidi can send you a link to those grant-funded sessions. So if anybody wants to tune in, they're welcome.
Would love to have that opportunity, and we will absolutely share that. So fantastic. Yes, Heidi, if she would share that, pass that right along. So,
I'm happy to stick around for a few minutes if anyone has any questions or would like to brainstorm different ways of using it in the classroom. I'd love to hear if anybody has any particular, had any aha moments about how they might want to use any of the tools. And I know I was racing through because I wanted to get through all of it. So, anything anyone would like to share?
When you were talking about the um, drumming, I was the one that talked about behavior disorder. And I have one student in mind that no matter what I do, I could stand on my head and he would either try to get the attention or just refuse to do. And to me, bringing out a drum and letting him just play that while the rest of the class goes on seems kind of hard for me. I don't know.
Yeah. I can see that context. So here are some things that some of the teachers, the special education teachers, used the drums for. So there were some students who actually were very into the drumming, and she would give them a particular student a drum at lunchtime to play on the playground, and other kids would surround that student, and that student got extra attention that way. So it could be a reward for behavior. You can earn the privilege of having this drum at lunchtime to drum. Another opportunity another thing that a teacher created was cleanup time. The one student would have a drum, and as long as they were playing the drum, everybody was supposed to keep cleaning up. And as soon as the drumming stopped, everyone was supposed to freeze. It became a game. And she said they looked forward to cleaning up every afternoon. Another way to incorporate the student visibility with the drum is you give the student a drum and they get to greet everybody else in the morning as they come in the door, right? They're going to be the greeter. They're going to smile and nod and play the drum, whatever beat they would like to play. So there might be ways to give that student some opportunities to shine that are appropriate. And I hope this helps. I'm not sure if it addresses all of your concerns, and I know that can be very challenging. However, we've been told by teachers that the drumming is a nice motivator. Some teachers have said, oh, on the days that we have drumming, everybody's done their homework, everybody's on top of it because they don't want to miss out, or they don't want to they don't want to lose their privilege as a classroom. So is that helpful, Jamie? Okay, good. Yeah, having them also, like when I was explaining leading, everybody's rumbling. Okay, you're the one who gets the moment in the sun to lead everybody. That feels very empowering.
so we have the handout, and Heidi just shared the other information, and we'll share that back out with all our folks on Renaissance and go from there. Anybody else have any questions at all? I'll stay on as long as you need. So Heidi, we appreciate you and Ping so very much, and appreciate us having this partnership. So
Thank you so much. I was going to mention to Jamie that we actually it was a research study. I just didn't publish it yet. But what we did was we had the 7 special education classrooms, and they were working with a variety of different kinds of students. And what we ended up finding was that each classroom actually benefited in different ways, depending on what the needs were in that classroom. It wasn't like one standard change that went across all of them. And positive, and then I also measured 2 months later, did anything stick? And it did actually in the relational department, which makes sense because if you shift your relationship with a classmate, that's more likely to stick over time. Feelings and moods and that tend to vary a lot from day to day depending on what's going on in life. So so I think that whatever kids with this approach tend to benefit in whatever way they need. Well, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will hopefully see you in a couple of months or a month
yes,
maybe, because I'm
yeah.
coming back to teach something else that I think you will also love.
Yes. Absolutely, Ping. Well, listen, you enjoy the rest of your day there, and I know you're 3 hours behind us, maybe somewhere in that time frame. So it's 5:07 here, so I guess you're at 2:07 or something there. So,
Yes.
but we look forward to seeing you again soon, and we will share this information out. Also, the handout, we'll make sure all our leaders get it. So thank you so much, and it's been a blessing today to have you with us. So
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Bye.
talk to you soon.
I should